Looky what I got.
Lithium iron phosphate. Lithium iron phosphate. Yeah! All right, y'all have been asking for it, and I get to bring it to you this week. So you guys keep asking for something different than EcoFlows. We want to see some lithium iron phosphate. Well, what do we got here? What am I using that wimpy thing for? So, was browsing around on eBay. I'm going to get that out of the way right up front because everybody keeps asking me,
where do you find these?
And I found something that was just too cheap for me to say no to. And so I bought it. And as I've already alluded to, this is a lithium iron phosphate battery. Not only a lithium iron phosphate battery, mind you, this is a, oh, if I can get it out of here, this, they really packaged it in here well. One moment, please. Come off, let go. This is a Bluetti power station. Now we've done the EcoFlow thing. We've seen a couple of them actually. Everybody said, well, what do you think about Bluettis? Well, I don't know. I've never messed with one before. And you know me, I don't like to buy new ones. And a company that size, they're not going to sponsor a little channel like mine. So I bought a broken one. So this guy's a little bit smaller than our EcoFlow units, but claims to have the same amount of output. And this is a Bluetti EB3A 268 watt hours, so a little under half of the capacity of the EcoFlow units, but 600 watt output. And that's talking about its sine wave output on the AC power. Now this guy came in as obviously dead, not working, and wanted to go ahead and see what it takes to get these lithium iron phosphate batteries back up and running. And more importantly, what does the inside of a Bluetti look like? So the seller sold it to me, said, hey, doesn't turn on, no power, no function, no nada. So taking a look around the outside of the unit here, first I'll just get that out of the way. We've got our DC outputs rather, just like what we would see in the EcoFlow River units. We've got a couple of barrel jacks as well as the regular DC. We have one 100 watt USB-C and then a couple of fast charging USB-A ports. And then our inputs here, which is going to give us a standard 110 outlet. It says up to 129 amps max on the input here. And then we've got a barrel jack connector, which takes 12 to 28 volts. And that looks like a laptop barrel jack connector, which I actually have one that I think might fit that. So we'll try that in a second here. Then it's got a couple of AC outputs here, again, at a total of 600 watts rated output. And I think it boosts up to about 1,000 watts. Last but not least, there's a wireless charger on the top that gives you up to 15 watts out. On this side, you've just got one little vent right down here. Everything else is blocked off as far as the plastic goes. On the back, there's absolutely nothing. And on this side, you have a fan vent as well, with everything else again blocked off. So not really much to see or say here. So I am curious. I assume that you push the DC power to get power on. But obviously, that's not doing nothing. So let me grab one of my power cords. We'll plug this guy into AC and see if there's any signs of life whatsoever. So when I plug this into AC power, no clicks, no whirs. Oh, hey. So it turned on. Interesting. So it's actually telling me that it has 100% battery. Hopefully it's a little flickery for you guys. I apologize. It's going to be based on the camera frame rate. Not something that I can directly impact. Maybe it'll go away if we zoom down and it, yeah, hey, there we go. Okay, cool. So it changes its frame rate whenever we zoom down because of the difference in light. So now you can see it's actually showing me that it's got 100% battery here. That's funny. So if I turn on my DC, it does appear to light up. I've got a, well, I had a green light there. Let me turn it on again. Maybe. There we go. I've got a green light and then it turns right off. Interesting. And then the DC is flashing here. Do I get a light? Hey, I get a light. And then how about AC? AC appears to turn on as well. Interesting. And I did hear the click of the relay on the inside there, which indicates to me that it is in fact turning on. So what's going on here? So if I unplug it, what happens? Oh, it immediately dies. So as soon as I unplug it, we get nothing again. So that means to me that there's either a fault where the battery inside of here is disconnected from the main board somehow, so it's sensing 100% power or 100% charge just because it simply has no charge, and it's seeing the full voltage out of whatever this this DC AC to DC converter is. The second possible thing here is that the battery is just completely dead, in which case maybe we can bring it back to life? Not sure. So again, I've never really dealt with, oh look, we get a handle, how nifty. I've never really dealt with a lithium iron phosphate battery before, but I am really interested to get into it. I feel something underneath this sticker here, and I'm afraid they're gonna make me break the sticker to get into this guy. But let's take a look and see what's under these feet, because I've got a feeling that's gonna be our way of getting into it, since I don't see any other external screws on the outside, and I cannot imagine something like this just clips together. So I'm gonna try and get a pry tool underneath one of these feet here, hopefully without cutting myself too badly. There we go. And yep, we do have some screws there, and unfortunately this uses that fun tape that once you take it off, it's not gonna be good anymore, so I'm gonna have to get some new adhesive if I do fix this, otherwise I won't have any sticky feet. I don't really love when companies do that, but I guess it's probably just down to whatever the cheapest adhesive is, and they probably don't expect that you're gonna mess with it too much. All right, now looking down into one of these holes, it does appear to just be a standard Phillips head screw. Let's get this last foot off. Then we can find a screwdriver here and get to opening. All right, 4 off. I can't imagine there's one in the middle that probably just goes straight through. That's probably rather just a piece of like flashing from the plastic, but we'll find out here in a second, I suppose. Luckily, my screwdriver is just barely long enough to get in here. Doesn't feel like they've got a lot of Loctite on them or anything like that. Let's zoom back out here a little bit at least. All right, so it appears that the top wants to lift off instead of the bottom coming off. So I'm going to turn it over and get those 4 screws out of the way here. Kind of wimpy screws, that's a little interesting. All right, and we've got access to the top here. The wireless charger is plugged in right up top here, so I'm gonna go ahead and unplug that first and move that guy out of the way just to show you all here. That's the charging circuit for the wireless charger. It just takes, it looks like straight battery input is what it's saying here, but I'm guessing that's probably regulated 12 volt out of this front panel. And that's really it that's in here. Other than that, you've got some hinges for the handle, which are potted in place so they don't fall out. And then we get to the guts. So inside of here, we've got up top, similar to our river units, it looks like we've got our AC components right up top here. Again, AC components are usually a little bit easier to spot than DC components because they're chunkier and they're gonna have these giant heat sinks on them as well. So it looks like this front panel does come off, but we're gonna need to unplug a few things first. I wanna get a better view by looking at it from the back here and seeing what's going on. So I've got, let's see, a GEEHY chip here. Not familiar with what that is. It says UI8 next to it. Maybe it's just something to do with the main programming of the screen or something of that nature. There are some other components here that lead me to believe this may be some part of the AC control board as well. Now down below, I'm seeing our LiPo battery pack. And you all might be able to see right down here as well. I'll point it out. We've got here some connections and they are labeled with B and a number next to them. So I'm assuming that's going to be our battery contacts into the BMS. So we're going to need to take this main AC board off first. Looking around, trying to figure out what the easiest way to do that is going to be. I think we need to first take this front panel off, which is going to require that we go ahead and remove some connectors from it, and then it should just lift out of place for us. And yeah, I think that's going to be the way.
This is the way.
So I'm going to work on getting this XT30 connector off here. Just a tiny guy right there. Yep, that's a T30UF. I don't know what the U and F is for, to be honest with you, but somebody I'm sure in the comments will let us know. We've got one more connector here, which I'm going to stick a finger in and pull out. Somebody's going to yell at me for not having gloves on at this point, but this is all pretty well protected. There's not really much I could do here to screw this up. Famous last words, as they say. And then we've got our AC components here are also plugged in with XT30 connectors. And then that's going to be our main battery, I bet. It says grid in, grid L, but it looks like it goes down. Maybe not. Maybe that's the input here. Okay, so yeah, that's the AC input. The AC output is this here. So we've got load and then grid. That makes sense. So now I believe we can just pull this guy straight out. No, it looks like some of the cables are captive underneath this main board. Yep, I think I need, yeah, I think I need to take it out first. So I'm seeing here, I've got 3 Phillips screws, which maybe that's what we need to do to get this board out. I honestly don't know. Seems a little sus. That's all it would take. Maybe we have to get this board out. Oh, I see the 4th one actually. Maybe we have to take this board out, and then from there we're able to take the shield underneath it out. That's probably what's going on here. Now these AC components were just powered up a few minutes ago, so again, gotta exercise caution where I'm touching on this board. I'm not using gloves. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't. All right, got that fan unplugged. Let's pull this AC board out, and looks like, oh, okay, there's our main battery connector. So this XT60 connector is what goes to our main battery. And there we go, we've got that pulled out. So now we can get these AC components, the sketchy stuff, out of the way. We've got one more cable that goes to the BMS unit. And here we go. I don't want to have hands on this more than I need to, because this one doesn't have a shield under it, like the EcoFlow units do. Don't drop screws into an active battery. So yeah, I don't want to touch anything down below here because there are some big capacitors that may still have a little bit of a charge in them. So we're going to set that guy off to the side. Don't go pop. All right, so now I've got access to our main battery connector here, as well as individual battery cells. It looks like this is I've got B6 is showing on here. So this must be a 6-cell pack. Let's see what we're reading as far as voltage out of this guy, or if we're getting anything. We might not be, which, considering the device won't turn on, that's a very good possibility and probably what we're going to find here. Let's go ahead and put this on DC voltage. Now, if you've watched the channel, you know that on an XT60 connector, no matter where I move my lights, this thing has such a bubbly screen that it always catches the light in some way. So you know what, that we can see it well enough there. So if you watch this channel long enough, you know that on the XT60 connector, the flat side is going to be positive. So we've got our positive and our ground. And I've got 257 millivolts, so almost nothing. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to probe just for poops and giggles down here. And I've got battery 1. And I want to probe to battery positive. 18.626. Okay, so we've got some voltage there. So why aren't you wanting to turn on? All right, so this is a 7S BMS based on what's written on the side here. Let's go ahead and remove this battery. It looks like we've just got some, let's see, can I get to this yet? I don't know if nope, we got to pull the battery first. This is a little bit of a weird build. You don't pull all the components out until the batteries are out. But we're going to pull the battery out here. It just has, it looks like these 4 screws, yep, no others, that hold it down to the bottom of the shell. These are longer boys. They must go all the way through the battery pack. Yes, they indeed do. Okay, I'm going to have to get these out of here. Well, at least a couple of them out of here. So we can lift and slide. Oh, there's posts under there. Okay, so these posts go all the way down to the bottom, the plastic post in here, so it appears you have to take this out as one piece altogether. Okay, so these are the posts I was talking about on there. So those just stick all the way down through the battery here. Really nifty kind of battery layout, one that I'm not super familiar with, but we're going to take a look at that here in just a second. And then the fan is connected to this as well. Nothing really to see here. Going to go ahead and put it off to the side. The main board is a little bit more interesting. Again, they've gone really, really modular with everything here. Instead of using soldered points, they're using these crimp connectors that then slide over the terminals for everything, it looks like. So it's a relatively modular setup. I don't know if that's any better or any worse than the EcoFlow. I don't know when you would ever need to get in here to replace these, and these do appear to be more off-the-shelf parts than manufactured parts like with the EcoFlow, so I'm not sure. I don't necessarily love some of the bodges here, like these wires that are going between here are just a little janky, and that's connecting to the DC input port, the MPPT charger. But yeah, it appears that the MPPT, the DC charge circuit, and all of the logic is all in this one unit here. And that's how Blue Yeti has decided to do it for their units. Guess that makes sense. Another thing that I don't really love about this is that the buttons here, they're just on some plain old fiberboard, it appears. That's kind of, I don't know, kind of weird. Kind of chintzy. I guess the other ones are built into this main unit. It's just this one that they had to put off to the side here. So no worries, we'll put that off to the side for now as well. And then let's take a look at this battery. So it hopefully will come out of this pack now. Oh no, it's got some more screws. Nope, those aren't screws. Yep, no screws, just terminals. Okay, so I think this will come out. And yeah, it's just glued in a little. They didn't use a lot of glue. Maybe a little bit more interesting of a plastic injection mold than what we saw out of the EcoFlow units, but again, we're splitting hairs here. These are very similar builds, I would say. Battery technology is completely different though, so that's one thing that we're going to be looking at here, obviously, and seeing what has changed and progressed with this type of battery. So these are A123 lithium cells. They are pretty large capacity. They're 6,000 milliamp hour per cell here. But because again of that lower voltage, that kind of determines our total watt hour output. So let's take a look at these cells. Since we've got this laid out so nicely here for us, let's take a look and see what we can find as far as the health of these LiPo cells. So we're gonna go straight from, let's see here, battery negative to battery 1. We should be seeing, yeah, almost 3.2 volts, 3.179 volts. Battery 1 to battery 2, 3.197 volts. Battery 2 to battery 3, 3.08, so a little bit lower, but not significantly so. 3 to 4, 3.19, 4 to 5, 2.5, so we've got a low cell there. 5 to 6, oh, that might not be good. 5 to 6, there we go, 3.14. 6 to positive, 3.12. So our 4 to 5 cell here actually is a little bit low. Interesting. So this is a good opportunity to go ahead and see how these LiPo cells want to come back to life. So what I want to do next is I want to go ahead and try and put a little bit of voltage into this one cell and see if it does attempt to come back up. Perhaps it is just an issue with balancing and it's something that we can go ahead and overcome pretty easily here. Maybe it is a deeper issue. Maybe there is some actual degradation of this cell. These cells are not supposed to degrade like that. They're supposed to be good for a real long time, especially compared to our NMC cells that we've been working with. So these should get a couple thousand charges out of them instead of just about 1,000, and generally have a much longer lifespan. All right, so we've got that battery coming up. It is sitting at 2.62 volts. Currently, I've got it going up to 3.2 if I recall correctly, maybe a little over 3.2 there. I want to go ahead and get this one balanced, see if I can get it to 3.2, and then see what happens to the pack when we put it back into the unit, of course. So, all right, there we go. So I've got our screen now being monitored. We are going up actually relatively quick for only 0.8 amps that we've got going into this guy right now. But that's 2.5 watts, not a whole hell of a lot of power going into it, but we're pumping something into it at least. I guess I can go ahead and I could bump that amperage up a little. Yeah, we can go up to 1 amp, that won't be any trouble. Not for these 123 cells rather. They're actually, these are 32700s, what they say. I think they were called A123s, but I could be wrong on that. We're already up to 2.75 volts. We're looking good so far. Let me just confirm what I'm seeing there with what I've got on my power meter, since I believe my power meter a little bit more sometimes. 2.745, 2.77 on that side. That makes sense because it's pumping the voltage up as it goes. So we are on a constant current right now, just pumping in 1 amp into it, and it's going to keep raising up that voltage until it gets to the 3.2 that we set. And then that's when hopefully this BMS will turn back on and we'll be good to go. Now just putting my fingers in here real quick, right next to that cell. There's no heat coming off of it at all, so nothing to worry about there. Really, it's just the waiting game at this point to see if this does come up to power, and then what it will do when we put it back into the Blue Yeti unit, whether or not it will charge and discharge fully. I'm not as concerned with it potentially combusting. These are relatively new cells too. The cells are dated on the side here of 2022-3/21, so March 21st of 2022. We're currently in 2025, so really we're only talking a few years old at this point. They probably haven't even gone through very many cycles. But I got a good feeling this one, just like the others, probably got stored away somewhere at a low state of charge, and unfortunately, it ended up draining itself. So up to 2.8, we are looking good. It's going to continue to climb here over the next few minutes, and I will check back with you all as we get closer to that 3.2 volts.
2,000 years later.
All right, guys, welcome back. So we are up to, as you can see over there, 3.23 volts. At least that's what it's putting in. It still hasn't actually fallen down to the point where it has that much voltage in there. I'm estimating it's probably at about 3.15 right now, which is probably close enough, honestly, for the BMS to come on. All right, so now that we've got that taken care of, I'm gonna go ahead and just squeeze these cells back together, and then let's do some quick testing. My voltmeters turning off sooner and sooner, it appears, because it's the battery in here is dying. All right, so we already know that all of these are going to really be at the 3.17 to 3.2 range, 3.19, 3.08, 3.19, 3.13. That was our low one before, 3.14, 3.12. All right, you know, I think that might just be close enough for the Blue Yeti to go ahead and accept it and start taking a charge again. Let's plug in this battery, maybe some sparks, maybe not, let's see. Okay, no sparks. Let's plug our fan in as well, because we're gonna need that just in case this does work. And before I plug the rest of it in, do we get anything when we hit the power button? No, unfortunately, still nothing out of power. Let's see if we have any difference now when we plug the AC in, and if it's giving us anything from the battery side. Maybe the BMS is going to wake up and figure its life out here. Plugging that in, we're once again, unfortunately, showing 100% battery. But 0 watt output on anything. And I bet if I unplug it, yep, we immediately die. Well, that's unfortunate. Why didn't you want to come back to life for me? There's some interesting sound coming out of one of these components. So when I unplug the little communication pin there, I do, oh. So I unplugged the communication pin from there and it immediately showed a battery error. Oh, what'd you do? And then it went to this. We're charging 263 watts are coming into this unit right now, and it appears like it is actually charging those batteries. It really just needed a BMS reset. So just to show you guys again, I'm going to leave this here and hopefully it continues to take power in. That'll be really nifty. But right up top here, so there's only 2 plugs that go to the battery. You've got this main XT60 plug right here, and then you have this communications plug. When I unplugged that, it immediately showed a faulty battery light. Plugged it back in, and we're now charging. I've got 1% now. It says 264 watts is coming into this unit right now. This is phenomenal. I'm going to give it a little bit. I wanted to get up to about 5 to 10%, and I want to check and see if it does still show show that it's working when I actually pull the power from it. But if so, we might have saved another one of these battery packs, and finally a reliable one that people don't have to yell at me about burning down my warehouse with. So that'll be really cool if this ends up working. I want to leave this here and see kind of what, oh, we're already up to 2%. Fantastic. And yeah, I know that's flickery for you guys. Sorry, I'll get down on it. There we go. Now you can see. So that's pretty phenomenal. They've got this covering over the wire, so I can't check how many amps are actually going into the battery right now, unfortunately. Assumedly all of it. Yeah, I think we just kind of leave it. We're up to 3% now already. So really the moment of truth is what happens when we pull the power here. Is this just going to instantly die? Is it going to continue to work? Hedge your bets now. Put it down in the comments. What do you think is going to happen when I pull this? Oh, did we die? No, we didn't. We're working. So guys, we fixed this power unit. We have got power now. We're able to see how much is actually coming out of it. We're able to see a unit of how long we have left. The AC appears to be working. I don't have anything to test it with right this second, but we will test that a little bit later on once I get a little bit more juice into it. But that's pretty nifty. For again, this one, I paid more than I should have for it. I paid 85 bucks plus a little bit of shipping. So it came out to right at around $99, I want to say, with tax and everything. More than this unit, than I should have paid for this unit. They're only about 160 bucks new, but there are a few of them out there on eBay. And if it's as easy as just simply unplugging and plugging back in that BMS while the unit is charging, these might be a good buy. We'll see. I'll let it go ahead and continue to charge up. We'll then reassemble it fully and do some testing on the unit. In fact, I guess I can go ahead and bump my head into the side here. Turn that off. I guess I can go ahead and get this started as far as the reassembly goes. Because really that's all we have left to do is that, and then put some screws in the bottom. And then we're rolling. So the DC I know is on right now. Let me clear out my notifications. So if I put a phone there, no? No wireless charging? There we go. I don't know why I had to push it a bunch of times, but it's coming up. I've got charging off of the top power supply there. Okay, so that turned it off. Pushing it one time turns it on now. Okay, I don't know what that was about, but whatever, we'll take it. So yeah, we're charging. We've got everything working on this unit so far, at least. I still haven't tested the AC outputs. I guess we could do that next. What do we want to test on AC? Well, you know what? We can go ahead and test a power supply. So it says we're outputting 13 watts right now. Let's check and see if we've got any power coming out of this guy. I've just plugged it into our one of our 12 volt power supply, or one of our 20 volt rather power supplies, AC power supplies for the DC input on our other river units. I'll plug that into a river. Unplug my phone here. And yeah, there we go. We've got 100 watts out. The fan's really ramping up on this guy right now, so it's not pushing a lot of air. Huh. Not a very efficient fan. Oh, it's because it pulls air, so it pushes it through this way. Huh. That's a dumb design. I don't think I care for that. But yeah, it's working. It's definitely working. We're pulling out 180 watts out of it right now. I'm going to discontinue that because it's just not necessary. And it's just a real waste of power to go from DC to AC to DC. Actually, that would be DC to AC to DC to back to a different DC voltage. So let's plug this guy back in. We'll go ahead and pop that back together. All right, everyone. Well, the Bluetti EB3A 26. Oh, sorry. It's just the EB3A 268 is the watt hours. It's working great. I've had this at home for the last few days. I've been using it actually as a kind of back porch power supply. So when I'm sitting back there and watching YouTube or whatever, I can go ahead and just throw my phone on it, keep it charged up, and I don't have to worry about it. It charged to 100% without any trouble. It appears to be discharging just fine. I've got it down to only 79% with the usage that I've had so far, and it's charged my phone a few times. But yeah, seems like to be a really good unit. I'm going to go ahead and continue to use it throughout my day-to-day. I'm going to try and get it all the way down to 0% and make sure that it comes back up, and then I'll report back in the comments just in case something does come up with it. But it really looks like at this point, this is going to be a good working unit. And now I don't have to listen to all of you that complain about my batteries being explosive devices, because this one is lithium iron phosphate. So it's not going to explode on me. So I feel confident using this one. That's why I'm taking it home, whereas the other ones sit out here at the warehouse where if it burns down, nobody dies. But yeah, good little power unit. I kind of appreciate the Bluettis. I do want to do a couple more tests, and I may throw this in the EcoFlow video that I'm going to have hopefully coming out next week. I'm waiting for a shipment that will be here Monday so that I can kind of finalize everything, and I want to do just one last hurrah with EcoFlow that compares everything. I'm going to go through how to recover the cells if you don't have a fully working pack. The modularity of the pack that I found out recently by taking those apart a little bit more. I'm going to go through what they can power. So I've told you guys that this powers my AC unit here in the shop. Kind of. I'm going to go through that a little bit more and show you what's going on there. So stick around for that one. We're going to also explore the backup batteries, the expansion batteries for those EcoFlow units, including if you have one, what you can do if you don't have the cable that goes with it. Not necessarily a great option, just to be completely frank with you, but it's an option, so that's something. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and leave it here then, guys. So this has been the Bluetti EB3A I. Cool little unit for the amount I paid for it. Probably not worth it because you can get them for about 170 bucks straight from Bluetti, and I paid about 100 bucks just for this one that was potentially going to be broken. But I mean, I guess I saved 70 bucks. Not like I need it, considering the backlog of rivers that I have sitting down here, just out of shot. In case you guys think I'm lying about all the rivers that I have, there's 5 of them. There's another one right down here. There's another one up there. There's 3 more over there, and then there's 2 more that are taken apart somewhere. So yeah, there's a lot. So yeah, we'll leave it here, guys. I will catch you back here on the next video, probably with the river. I've got a couple other projects. I'm working on a bunch of things all at one time, and just kind of waiting for parts to come in. That's why I haven't posted anything in the last week, and why I kind of waited until now to post this one, because I want to make sure that I'm giving you a final video and not going through and just kind of stringing us along for 6 or 7 videos on the same thing. That's kind of boring for both you and me, I think. So yeah, this will be it for the Blue Yeti for now. I will, of course, be looking for other power supplies. I had a couple users reach out to me and ask me about particular power supplies. What I can tell you is that if I find a good deal on it, I'll probably buy it so that I can show you guys what it does. Outside of that, I can't afford to go out and buy these things brand new and tear them apart. Maybe one day I'll get big enough that we'll get some sponsors that will allow me to tear their products apart. For now, probably not. So we'll cross that road when we get to it. Yeah, that's it.